Good morning and welcome to Penzance. I'm Murray Golder. I'm just working on some photo editing this morning with Adobe Lightroom, and I'm just quite inspired by the new Facebook Live video stream. So I thought I would just take this opportunity to look at some photographs and yeah, just do some editing on them. So I've got some photos I took the other day. Breathe Communities were doing a live skate event down at the front of Penzance in the Wherrytown skate park, and so I was down there, part of Breathe, but at the same time taking some photos where I could. So I thought we would just have a look together at my normal workflow, which is a bit strange perhaps. So anyway, so this is Adobe Lightroom. This is what I normally would use for working on photographs. So here we have this guy, Sully I think his name was, and he was the winner of the skate comp. Just a little guy, 9 or 10, but he did a great job. But you can see that the photo is very dark. There's a lot of sky detail there, and he's dark. And if we were to look at the actual properties of the picture, you'd see down here in the library section, it tells me that it was a thousandth of a second at f5 at 50mm. So it should actually have been, it's good enough to capture to still the motion of the skater, but nothing else has happened. I don't think I've worked on this one at all. I don't think I was particularly impressed by it. So all I'm going to do, I'm going to press, well, there's two things I need to do first. Firstly, I'm going to press down here on the auto exposure, and you can see immediately it brings the levels up, and there's the little guy himself. And he's, if I zoom in there, you'll see he's very much in focus. There's some imaging, there's some lines on it that I'll get rid of in a minute. Possibly the first thing then I need to do is come here and look at straightening. We're trying to make the image straight, and a question of what needs to be straight is a very good question. So I've got this little leveling tool here, and so just stretch it between 2 points. I'll do it on this ramp here, and it just turns the photo just slightly. It would be nice to bring them into the thirds, but I don't want to lose the ramp, so I'll leave them there. That's fine. Ta-da, that's number one. The second thing we need to do really is do white balancing. So I need to find something that's particularly grey. Actually, I think earlier, I was doing it on daylight, which was 5500s in the temperature, plus 10 in the tint. And you can see that his red shirt is nice and red, that's fine. Everybody else looks quite, if you look at skin tone and other people, you'll see that that's quite good. That's alright, isn't it? I think I'm the only person in the southwest of England that's streaming live at the moment. Don't know if anybody's watching it, but hey, that's cool. No problem with that. I don't care. So the next thing I do, I was watching a guy the other day on YouTube, and he was talking about dropping highlights out, so it brings the clouds in better. And then you go to your whites, and if you press the Alt key on the Windows keyboard and press that, you'll see that the screen goes blank until you drop the slider. Take the slider up until there's a little bit of white in the scene, and that's about right. And then you do the same with the blacks. Press the black, press the Alt key. The screen goes white this time, and you drop it down to there's a little bit of black. And there you go, there's your guy. Now for me that's a bit too dark. Contrast is really long. I like contrast up about 7 because it brings out, pops the colours out a little bit. Exposure, if I raise it just a tiny bit, it brings out a bit more in the sky. I would love to work on the sky a bit more because there is some detail in the sky. So I'm going to put on the graduated filter. I probably won't use this in the end because it will kill the skater as well. But anyway, I'll do this. I'll put that sky on filter on there. If I press the shift key at this point, it will make it straight, but I don't really want it straight because that wall's at a different angle. So let's do that there. And then I can work on the exposure just for the section. And you'll see how it brings the sky in. It also kills the skater. And the detail on his face and everything. But I mean, I could put that in, but I really don't want to. So I'll just get rid of that again. So what I could do instead, I can go to the adjustment brush here. And if I wanted to, I'll just make that brush a bit bigger. And if I want to, I could paint the sky, okay, just with the adjustment brush. I don't know why, but my adjustment brush colour seems to have disappeared. It's meant to be red, so you can see what parts you're actually painting, but I can't see that at the moment. So I'll just pretend that I can actually see what it's doing. And I'm just painting on the sky because I want to change the... oh, I can see it coming now. Look at that. What's happening now? That's really weird. What have I done? I think I've done something that's not right with this, but never mind. Doesn't matter. You can see it going red now. Do you see it going red? Can you see it going red? Maybe you can see it going red. I can see it going red, just a tiny little bit. So that red means that when I apply an adjustment to this section, it will actually change the sky. Now, the problem I find with this is that you've put this adjustment colouring on, right? So you can't see the image anymore, not very well, and you certainly can't see the adjustments that are made because it's all coloured in red, okay? And the only place you can see the adjustment happening is up here, up in this little navigation segment. So now I've painted it. So now if I was to change it, oh, that looks terrible because the brush was really intermittent. Okay, I'm just going to stamp on this a bit with this colour and see what happens. Try and see if I can make it all consistent. I'm going to end up just get rid of this. You know that. Try again. Okay, it brings it in a little bit. So if I take that away, you see the skies come in a bit better, but it's a bit patchy. So I can now click on this little dot, which reminds me of the settings I set at that point, and I can just press delete, bang, and it's gone, and that's much better. So I'll get rid of the adjustment brush at the moment. Could have done that, but I'm not going to. Now, another way to make it pop out a bit more is by using the presence settings here in Lightroom. I like clarity up at like 20, 24. You can see if I slide it all the way down, it makes it really, really fuzzy and soft focused, which is horrible. If you slide it the other way, it makes it kind of that kind of really rough HDR-ish type thing, which I also don't like. But around here about 20, 24, it just brings enough detail out, which makes it nicer. And you can move vibrance. Look at that. You take vibrance down at the bottom and it leaves the red in, which some would like as being quite cool, but I don't. So I'm putting vibrance up at 14, brings a bit more colour out. Saturation is always the problem at this point. It makes a nice black and white image, that actually, and that would do quite well, especially with the sky in. That would make it exceptional if we could do something better with the sky, which I could do in Photoshop, but I'm not going to do today. So I'm going to leave saturation, maybe put it down a little bit, because it always looks like the colour's a bit too bright anyway with this lens that I use. So this was shot with a Canon 7D and a Sigma 1750, which has got a nice constant 2.8 aperture if you need that. I think this was shot on a 5 anyway. Tend not to go down to 2.8 unless you really need it if you're losing light. So this was shot at 5 to try and get a bit more depth of focus, but it didn't work because you can see the people at the back there are still out of focus. Anyway, I'm just going to set my the point by which I'm going to look at the sharpening. So I've got a big image of him here. maybe see the lines on it. I don't know if you can or not. I can see the lines on the screen there. So I'm just going to bring the sharpening up a bit. I quite like it around about 25. I was using it up about 70 and 80, but it really accentuates the sharpening. Jury's still out for me on what the best sharpening would be. The best thing I do would be, I'm going to put it back down to 30, 25, and I'm going to bring luminance up. This noise reduction luminance. As soon as you start bringing the luminance up, you see all the lines disappear. There was a guy I was following on YouTube, and as far as he was concerned, that you balance. There's the clock striking there at a random 10:17. That's the Catholic Church in Penzance. Thank you for that. I have no idea why. Possibly 10:15, but it doesn't match with any of my timepieces today. Never mind. So anyway, this chap he said, well, if you do your sharpening amount to 50 or 70, then you would balance that with the luminance and move the luminance up so that together those two amounts equal 100. I'm not sure I'm buying that anymore. Oh, there he goes again. No, I don't know why. I don't. Would be nice to know, wouldn't it? But never mind. Anyway, so I'm carrying on down my list, and maybe I should have done this first as well. Another thing that you can do early is the lens corrections. If you enable profile corrections and put in your own lens, which I've done before, then it takes out any chromatic aberrations and stuff like that. Oh no, here's the chromatic aberrations, which are little purple lines around the edges of things. Yeah, and so it's got the camera settings in, which takes away any vignetting or any curving around the edges and any darkness, and I've put in the chromatic aberration as well. Now, I don't know what you think. I think that's quite a nice picture. You can see that he's skating, you can see that he's the focal point of the picture. He's up there on the ramp, there's people watching. It's quite nicely set out. The sky could be better, but I'm not going to do anything with that right now. Do you see what I did then? I don't know how I turned that on, but never mind. Ah, yeah, I've got to get rid of the sky. That's it telling me that there's some parts that are oversaturated, that are completely white. Yeah, that's it gone again. Good. So I would normally put it on the landscape profile, and I would normally have it on. I would normally do that before I do all my settings. So I'm going to go back here. I'm going to look at white and see how much that is. I'm just going to drop the whiteness down a little bit because it's just a bit too much, really. And again, that black is good. And is it too bright? That would be too bright. That's too dark. So I think right about there is probably about right. Yeah, that's good. There you go. So that was one picture done. I press Control and S to save the metadata alterations I've just done. That's alright, isn't it? The great thing about Lightroom, if I was to move on to another picture now, and you realise I was sitting in the same place when I did this picture, I'm just waiting for the next skater to come. So all the settings should be the same as this one. So I've set that one up, I'm quite happy with that. So if I move on to the next picture, you'll see that I can do in one button press what I just spent 10 minutes doing. So if I press the previous button down here, it'll take all the settings from the picture I've just finished and put them onto this one. That's good, isn't it? Now my camera was at a different angle, you can see by the line there. So there's two things I would do here, and that was, one would be just to re-level that base just with the angle tool. Okay, and then I would just check the layout of the picture itself. Look at that, he's perfectly in the thirds, which is quite nice, but we're missing some people off the edge, so I'll just move it over so we get more people. I'll take a bit of sky out because actually the sky is not that interesting, but the texture on the ramp is more interesting. So press done, there it comes in. We just zoom in there, you'll see that's a big spin skateboards deck, so that's obviously one of the big spin team. That's probably Tully, I would imagine, or Josh. So one of those guys. That's not bad for detail, is it either? So I'll just run down to sharpening again. Take that up to there. So we're looking at his arm. How sharp is that arm? I could show you the difference. Like, around about 80 is where I used to go. And if you press the Alt key at this point, you can see the difference it's making as you change the radius of the sharpening, and as you change the detail, you see it all going fuzzy in the background. You probably can't see it, but I can see it. So that goes down as well. You can also use this thing called masking, so that instead of it applying sharpening to the whole image, as you slide the masking key up, the slider up, it shows you almost like a kind of an X-ray of what you're doing. So instead of it being everything that's getting sharpened, instead you're just sharpening the lines, so that reduces the amount of sharpening on your picture, which is great actually. So up really high, you can see that's just applying that sharpening to the places that matter. Let me slide that back down again because I don't like that much sharpening. There you go. Once again, that's another picture done, and it's got my lens profile in, it's got the chromatic aberrations done, it's on camera landscape profile, which makes me very happy. And that's basically it. We could see it in black and white if we wanted. Do we want to do that? Saturation down. It's a basic black and white, that's alright, isn't it? It's quite a nice picture again. So there you go, there's another one. So you can see that they don't take long once you get moving on them. I do wish my computer was a bit faster, but it's not, but I don't mind. 17 minutes, we're on our third picture. I'm going to do the same again. I'm going to press the previous button, ka-chow, and see what happens. So here he comes, there's the boy again. You can see a whole pile of people behind this time. Now, question of how to straighten a picture like this. Okay, it's already thinks it's been straightened. I'm going to reset that because it's not right anyway. The best way to straighten, I've found, when you're in a place where the angles are all running in different directions, you can see the sea wall goes down the way. This ramp is actually horizontal, but should it be? I'm not sure. This ramp runs down as well, and all these ramps, there's lines everywhere. The best way I've found is just to use lampposts. Thankfully there's lots of lampposts in the skate park, so I'm just going to put that down there, and we'll take that as our level. And at the same time we'll be looking at how to frame this image. So I'm going to bring that edge in a bit. I'm going to just make it so that all the people fit along that edge there, and that naturally brings them up to the top left hand third, which is quite a good picture really, because they're all watching. All these skaters are watching the skater boy, and he's doing his trick and he's quite happy. And then when I bring it closer, you can see it's not too bad actually. Doesn't need to be changed in its exposure probably, but I'm not going to do that. Should I do that? Sharpening is okay. Luminance, put it up a little bit, but that's okay, that's quite good. There we go, and I might just work in that exposure a little bit. So it's daylight, still 5500 in its Kelvin temperature setting, whatever that means to you. See the changes it brought in then. I'm going to just go back to here and bring a bit more white in, and take it back so there's a bit more black in, but not that much. There you go, and I'm just going to move the exposure of the whole image up a little notch. I'm going to bring my contrast up to 7, which is where I like it to be. That's better, isn't it? So there you go, another image done. I've got just one more that I'm going to do. That looks almost identical, if you notice, to that one. Which one do you like best? I'm not sure actually. But if I use that one as the settings for this one, you'll find it's basically the same. Now, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the crop and straighten tool, and I'm just going to reset that because that's not helpful. And I'll redo the angle so we bring it nice and straight. Try and keep the people in. Bring it up a little bit, take off a bit more sky, that's good. Seagull up there, do you see it? I'll keep the seagull in. Bring him down a little bit in the frame. There we go, that's better, isn't it? At least something's straight. Something's always got to be straight in your image. Or you've got to be intentionally not straight. That's your choice. So there we are again. I think that's a bit too much white, so I'm just drop the whites down. No black, so we'll drop it down. There's a bit of black coming in. That's a good balance. It's overexposed now, so take it down. There you go, look at that. That's quite nice. That brings the sky in well, which makes him stand out from the sky a bit better. Okay. And that's us done another one. I think we'll just zooming into his face. You can see that we've got focus even on the bottom of his shoe there. That's quite good. That's not a bad image, is it? That's okay. That'll do. So that's us for today. Thank you for joining me. If you have, if you haven't, fair enough. That's been fun. So we'll do it again sometime. Thank you. Bye.